Awesome. How's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm going well, very well. Everything is fine for me. My magical ascent keep growing every day with my practice. Every day
Nice.
I work with Bill Iron for telekinesis.
Nice. What are you working with Bilal for every day?
I try to master telepathy and telekinesis.
Nice. What kind of what are you doing for telekinesis? Let's talk about that. That could be a fun one.
I imagine an object like a talisman like that. With my astral vision, I visualize it levitate in the air, and Belial says that if you work every day for month and month, you can achieve success with telekinesis by imagining an object flying. You can finish by moving an object like a spoon that's split in two. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I try. I try.
Yeah. So one of the methods I had somebody tell me is to get a small feather and hang that from what she told me was to do it from floss, like for your teeth, and hang that on the ceiling. But just it can just be any kind of really small string, and hang that from the ceiling so it's about halfway down, and then just sit there and actually just try to push it. Just try to push it, and you're gonna start being able to push that feather back and forth. And you just start with a feather just because it's really light. But that's one way you can start to develop telekinesis.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, what you got for me? You got a list of questions, a whole new list of questions for me?
Yes, I wrote a lot of questions for today. So my first one is, if each demon is an archetype of Satan and Lucifer, how would you describe the infernal and divine source behind each mask?
Okay, so the way that I see it is so when we talk about like creation and what was and the creation even of the Infernal Empire, it's not none of these things that I'm going to say are things that happened in the past. They're things that are currently happening right now all the time. So with this, as creation began to be created, and specifically as it became dominated by forces of control, that entities like Satan, Azazel, Shemyaza, and others broke away from creation, and they actually created what I would call a pocket reality or a bubble reality. They created a separate reality, separate from this control system, and that's what we call the Infernal Empire.
Yeah.
And yeah, that our goal here as magicians is actually to start creating our own realities, and these become part of this Infernal Empire. And I do think that part of what we're doing is we're pulling standard reality. Specifically, we're pulling this earth into the Infernal Empire completely, so it's not even part of God's system anymore. So it's not perfect to say that the demons are all masks of the archetypes of Satan. These are real entities. The way that I see it is Satan's body generates demons. They're actually born out of his body. And Azazel can also similarly birth these entities. And each one of the supreme leaders of the infernal realm has their own unique way of giving birth to armies of demons.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just asked this question because I know that Michael W. Ford like to talk about deific masks for every demon, but I don't very agree with that. I agree more with your perception of that.
We know, so being a Luciferian, Michael W. Ford is looking for the logic in it, because this is really a Luciferian thing, is to find the enlightenment, the thing that the knowledge and the gnosis that we can lock onto. That's fine. I think that the brain can only understand so much. Your conscious mind has to give up at some point. And that's what I call dropping mind, where you're just like, okay, I don't need to evaluate this. I don't need to think about it. I'm just going to have the experience. And in those experiences, what we're coming face to face with is a reality that's very real. And that's actually the interesting thing, is like, as I immerse myself more in the spiritual realms and more in the infernal empire, it's like that's more real than this reality is.
Yeah, like the dreams we do each night, it's more real than people can imagine.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. And it's funny because when I enter into like what I've termed the theta gamma sync, when I get into that theta gamma sync and I get into a magical state again, it is like I'm waking up. It feels like I'm waking up, and I wake up into like the fullness of myself. It is like waking up from a dream, like this reality that we spend our daily lives in. It is just another dream. And then when you enter the magical state, that's when you wake up to it. And when you wake up to it, you realize that you're the one having the dream, so you can control a lot of it. Not everything. This is the thing about lucid dreaming and with manifestation. You can't control every aspect of it, but you can find the things that you can control, and you can exploit those.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about the prophecy of the 666 fallen angels by Magus Enocious T.N?
So I have heard that. So what I've heard, what I've heard with the most recent update about that prophecy is that there are 666 fallen angels or demons that have now taken bodies. Whether this is through possession or through being born into them, it's unclear. But in preparation for the full apocalypse, that all of these demons have become embodied, and that's like I mean, I can attest to that. Like I know that I work with Satan, but I'm not fully possessed by him. But I am possessed by Azazel most of the time, if not all the time. So
A friend of mine and myself, we imagine that you are the human personification of Azazel.
I've heard that a few times by a few people.
Maybe more than just Azazel, but
Yeah.
you are part of the 666 fallen angels, I think.
I mean, that could really easily be. It's really a bitch, man, because we're living through the time of prophecies, that all ancient prophecies we're looking at today and predicting this day. And so being the people living in it, it's impossible for us to say. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like, is I don't like when I talk to people, mainly on consultations, but sometimes just in casual conversation, and they'll say, I'm Satan. I'm the one and only embodiment of Satan. You must bow before me. And they get on this ego trip. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that you could become possessed by Satan and that Satan could be manifesting through you. But the one and only is a hard thing, because like I just said, I am almost always, if not always, possessed by Azazel. At any point, his words and he can come out, and I can feel that shift inside of me happen. But that doesn't mean that he's not also possessing somebody else equally or even
Yeah, I
more.
agree with you. There's so much people that think I'm Satan, I'm Lucifer, I'm the only one, like you said, bow before me, kneel before me.
Yeah. Well,
At the time, I thought I was Lucifer, but then I understood that everyone working with Lucifer is Lucifer, in fact,
yeah.
at this.
We, so one way that I kind of see it, a little symbolic vision that I'm having of it is we are black diamonds, but those black diamonds are still encrusted with coal. And so these entities can come inside of us and possess us, and they're wrapping themselves around us. But then they're gonna let go, just like had this experience with Lucifer, with Lucifuge, with each of the gatekeepers. I became possessed by them, and it's like they're wrapping themselves around me and pressurizing me. But the idea is not that I become Azazel. The idea is that I become a better form of myself. Because there's not a full fusion. Like I said, I can feel when Azazel comes and when he goes, but there is a matter of he's coming and going, and in the end, what's left is a being that I call Archelus, my God self. So
Okay.
yeah. What else you got?
So another question: do you consider Herbarium Diabolicum, Gateways of Necromancy, and Conjure a trilogy with Edgar Cayval, or are they separate books that don't form a trilogy?
You know what? No, I don't necessarily consider those to be a trilogy. I can see how you see that with those being with Edgar, but I recently suggested to Timothy that we should bundle all of our necromancy books together. So Goddesses of Necromancy, The Necromancer by Connor Kendall, the books that Edgar and I have done together, and bundle those together for a discount or something. So we might be doing that in the future. But but no, and with Edgar, I just thought I was going to do the Herbarium Diabolicum, and that was it. And then after that, that went so well that we were like, hey, let's team up for another one. Let's do this one on necromancy, and then the next one on necromancy, and then we're going to do another one next year on Hecate. So I'm going to do a full path working with Hecate, and then report my notes. Get anything that she transmits. I'm basically going to treat it a lot like my gatekeeper workings, where I would just receive what I received and put that in the book. So I'm going to do that with Hecate and see where she takes me, and so that'll be kind of necromancy-ish, but I don't I don't really plan that far ahead. Like with my spell books, with these books I'm doing with Edgar, I don't even plan the next one. Like I do the one I'm working on. When that one comes out, then I start thinking, what's the next one? What's going to be good? And it'll just tumble. And then if nothing comes out, like for the spell books, for instance, like at some point, if I'm like, I don't know what else to do, I'll do something else.
Yeah. Are you happy of your last book of the Domination World series, Self-Defense?
Yeah. Oh, I'm super happy with that. That was a much needed book. For myself, I looked around and I got some protection magic books that were okay, but none of them were really nowhere near what the market really needed. So no, I'm glad we could do that book, and what ended up in it was really great. I actually noticed that I spent a lot of the book, a lot of my part of the book talking about the Necronomicon and the different banishings and bindings and exorcisms in there. And I guess I didn't realize how important those became to me, but those did become like the cornerstone practices that I'll use for a lot of my rituals. So I got to really present a lot of that. And then a lot of another thing that I really was excited to be able to write about was how to create magical barriers. You're just holding your hand up and letting the energy come out of your hand. So this is one thing that a lot of people don't recognize is when you're doing your ritual, you light the candles. You're not just lighting candles. Those actually on the astral plane, you can see the power columns come up. As soon as you light the candle, it's like these power columns go infinitely up and infinitely down. And then when you turn your incense in a circle, that actually creates a massive vortex of energy. All these little tiny things that we're doing. There's crazy things happening in the energetic realm around us. And so by creating like an energy vortex, an energy barrier, an energy sphere around you, you're learning how to manipulate that energy. And then you can do that really all the time.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
That was kind of like a vision I had of what I wanted to do with my life when I was about like 19 years old. I was painting houses, and I was thinking, while I was working, I would just think like, what do I really want to be doing with my life? And that was it. Like actually just like walking around, living a normal life, but interacting with the world of spirit while I'm doing it. And now that's the life I have. That no matter what I'm doing, I can always tune into the energy realm around me and manipulate it, play with it, have conversations with spirits while I'm walking around town, whatever.
One thing I tried that you said in the past is when you evoke a spirit, he's not alone, but there is his entire army around him. And I didn't really pay attention to that before. And now that when I evoke a spirit, I try to visualize all his army and his soldiers and everything. He's not. They are not alone most of the times.
Yeah, no, it is. So I started doing that with Lucifer a lot. Lucifer started saying like, don't just see me, but see all of my angels too. And there is something. It adds a lot of power. You can feel the presence in the room just increasing and increasing. But I would because you say like that doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, no. Most of the time, we're just focused on the spirit we're focused on. But then you can ask them, just say bring forth all of your armies, and you'll see what happens. So I said that to Paimon once. I called Paimon. And I was like, yeah, give me, because I was just seeing what he would say. I was like, give me command over your armies. And he says something like, he's like, you have, I can't remember the exact number, but like 500, you have 500 legions that are now at your service. What do you want them to do? And he was really putting me on the spot because I didn't know. I was like, I just figured he would give them to me and I'd use them later or something. I don't know. But he was straight up like, here, you have them. Now what do you want to do with them? And that really, because that really is like the biggest conundrum that we face as magicians is like, we have all this power. What do you actually want to do with the power? So,
did the 9 gatekeepers rituals change you and all your path working with them? Change your way to be?
I mean, yeah, it changed everything. Like, I can't think of anything in my life, my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with myself, how I feel. I mean, just my mental health, my mind is completely changed. My emotions about things are completely changed. My body has gone through transformations, and then my rituals, my path workings, all of that. One of the biggest things I can feel it did to me, to kind of go back to the diamond analogy I was using earlier. As the serpents wrap around you, they're pressurizing that diamond. But then as they come off, it's almost like pieces of that fake veneer, pieces of that coal come flaking off with it. And so I could feel like parts of myself that were not authentic, ways, I mean, some very physical, very real financial ways that things were not working for me, ways that the things that I needed to change. And with each gatekeeper, it's like I could see another layer. It's like they took a layer of crap off of my eyes and went, oh, this is what my life is now. And then I'd have to fix it. So that was I think the biggest thing was what that's done for me. I think is that going forward, I've just got a constant sense of like, whatever I feel, whoever I feel I am, that's not who I am. This is just a temporary manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One question again. How did you have the revelation that Anemone is linked to Lucifer? You felt it? It was like obvious for you?
Maimon told me to do that. Amemon told me about that link. Yeah, and Maimon told me about that link. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that, and he insisted that I refer to him in this path working as Lucifer and Maimon. Maybe because it's a different aspect of him or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was just him straight up just telling me, like, as I called him, and because as I was preparing, actually, like in this in this journal right here. Oh, not that one. In this journal right here.
Yeah.
I've got the notes about when I actually sat down and thought about, like, there are gatekeepers, which ones are they? And so I wrote down the names of them. And with a Maimon, I wrote his name down. And he was like, "No, it's Lucifer and Maimon." I was like, "What? I've never called you that before." And he was like, "No, it's Lucifer and Maimon." But the way that he had made me write it was Lucifer slash a Maimon. And so almost like, I don't know. I don't know. There is a weird there's a riddle somewhere in there with Lucifer and Maimon. There's a reason that he did that I don't understand.
So when I personally worked with the 9 gatekeepers, I started by calling only Lucifer, and then while I progressed, I could see the connection really strong between Lucifer and Amemon, like if Amemon was the black son of Lucifer or something like that.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
link is obvious. Yeah.
But what we see is what you're landing on, though. There is a link. You got Lucifer, you got a Maimon. There's a link there, but it's very clear they're not the same entity.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a strange thing. No other Lucifer didn't do that with any other entity. Yeah, I don't know what was up with that, but that was very strange. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had a question. I think you materialized the Black Pyramid in a desert. And how did you react when you have materialized the Black Pyramid and you saw it? I know you try to manifest it in your Devil Stone ritual. So you saw that in the desert. It must be weird.
Well, okay, so yeah, let me tell you about this. All right, so, and it's crazy you ask about this because I've talked privately to a couple people about this in consultations and in private conversations. But sure, let's talk about it right now. So I was in the middle of my working of trying to materialize a black pyramid, and I just wanted a little one like that big, just so I could materialize something, so I could learn. And this is what I found out, that where I was wrong in this, where I was making a mistake in this practice. You actually have to want the thing you're materializing, and that's a hard one for me, to find something that I want enough to spend day after day after day. But anyways, every day I would try to materialize it at noon. So at noon, I had an alarm set on my phone that would go off, and I go, okay, it's time to go do this. I'd go into my temple, and at the exact same spot, the exact same time, try to manifest this black pyramid. Well, one day, as I'm doing this, Azazel comes to me very clearly. He bubbles up inside of me and just says, go out into the desert, and he draws me to a specific spot in the desert where there's rock formations that you can go sit on and overlook the whole desert sand dunes. So I go out there, and I'm just sitting on this rock, sitting on a cliff actually, and it's probably a good, probably 60-foot tall cliff. And I was like, okay, Azazel, what? And he goes, just do what you were doing at home, but do it here. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just look out in front of me. I go sit on the very edge of the cliff. So my knees are basically just right up against just air. Like if I tumble forward, I'm going to fall to my death. But I look out and I see, I just I keep my eyes open, meditate, and I try to see the little the little pyramid, but it does form a full I mean, it's taller than where I'm sitting, 60 feet up. So it's a huge pyramid, and it forms. I mean, it's like in perfect detail, perfectly clearly. And as I look at it, I start descending into its opening. Like there was a door there, a very clear door somewhere, and so I go to disturb. Like if it didn't feel like I was soul traveling, it felt like my body was just floating downwards through that door. And I go into the pyramid and I see at the top is glowing with light, and light is coming up from somewhere above it, coming into the top, coming down into the base. As the light hits the base, and it's just like a column of light straight in the center. As the light hits the base, it spreads out, and I can see in a vision, I can see the light spreading across the earth and touching other pyramids. And then these other pyramids start lighting up and doing the exact same thing. And then it touches other pyramids and it does the exact same thing. And so then I kind of like, I'm just all of a sudden the vision goes away and I'm sitting back on the cliff looking just at empty air in front of me. And I was like, what the fuck? And Azazel says, this is can't remember the words he used, but basically that we are the pyramids. And so what we're doing is we're trying to bring light into ourselves to light us up, to fully engage us as living gods. As each one does this, it's going to send shockwaves through the earth that other people are going to pick it up and start lighting up as well. And this is the true revolution that that the demons are planning and moving us towards, is getting just a few of us to light up so it lights up everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
yeah, really crazy, super crazy.
We have a musician question. Do you still play bass guitar?
Yeah, I do. I just barely only. Oh, I don't. You can't see it. You can't see it, but
It's behind you, I think.
there we go. Yeah. So yes, I do. This is my new. This is my new Jackson JSP2. So it's got. It is so fun. This was actually so affordable. I just bought it from the manufacturer. I just went on their website. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm learning right now. I've got two new Slayer songs I'm learning. So I'm learning Mandatory Suicide and what was the other one? Let me look. The other one is Killing Fields. Killing Fields. So yeah, so I'm learning some new songs here and there. Yeah, having a hell of a fun time with it.
I'm a drummer, so I
Oh
love
yeah.
all instruments. I play the guitar, I play the piano, I play a little of bass guitar, but with a pick, not with my fingers.
Oh really? Yeah. See, I've used a pick. I've used a pick. I don't like it. I don't. It's too much like doing
Yeah,
with the
it's
pick.
very metallic sound.
Yeah. So I use my fingers for almost every song. Even like I'll play some black metal, like some Nagelfar or Cradle of Filth. And even with that, you're supposed to be using the pick and going. I can't remember, it's tremolo where you go back and forth on the same string, up and down strokes. But I'll just use my fingers and finger style that. So yeah, I feel like I got more. I feel like I'm more connected to the instrument with my fingers versus just a little pick. It gives me a completely different feel.
It's because I'm a guitarist. I play with the pick, so I play the bass like I play the guitar.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So have you written your own music?
Yeah, I have a few songs on SoundCloud and YouTube. I recorded all the instrument. I sing in all my songs, and I do the engineer sound work myself. I do everything. I love to do
Wow,
that.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
it's not
No.
perfect. There's some little defects, but it's okay. I do that for my pleasure. So.
Yeah. No, I've written a few songs that have been gone They're really cool, and I want to do something with them. So I might have to hit you up. I'll record my bass line and hit you up, and maybe we'll make a
Yeah,
black magic track together. You
Black
got one
Magic.
called the Infernal Empire Rises. It's all about opening the gates to the Infernal Empire.
One
I
of
think
my song is called Baal,
oh yeah.
and it's a rock song. I talk about magic in all my songs. For me, it's a linked magic and music. I can
And you
express what I can't express with words in my music.
that's it, oh yeah, oh for sure. Well also there's somebody asked me the other day on my TikTok live stream, they asked me if I've ever used playing music as a magical tool. And I never have, but that's something I was thinking about because when I'm playing, I can get into a completely different mind state. It is like I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person. I'm a completely different, much more connected person. So I was thinking like, and you can feel a certain energy, and I can even feel different spirits. Like as I'm playing, I'll be aware of spirits that are in my temple in that moment. And so I wonder if you can use that for an actual ritual, like if you got like a baneful magic ritual, you write a really evil song and you play that song while you're casting your spells. I don't know.
Once I made a ritual with Satan, and I I took my guitar and I played while I was evoking Satan, and an, a satanic energy was coming inside me, and it allowed me to make solo like I can do without this energy, and it was interesting to conjugate the both of them.
Yeah, no, I do feel like specifically my so I've got over here behind me, I've got my death altar, and then a little bit lower than that, I've got this pot here, and that's my whole necromancy side. And so I'll go, for some reason, necromancy, the spirits of the dead, even in like most systems, like look at voodoo and Santeria, that the spirits of the dead love music. And I think that's because, living people are the only creatures that create really music. And and so I'll light up a bunch of candles. I'll more or less worship at those altars, and then I'll come and start playing music with the candles still going, and I can feel like I am tapping into, like sometimes, like you say, I'll do some crazy stuff that I'm like, I don't think I have that skill, but there it is. So yeah. Well, there is something interesting about, like, there's a theory that I like that all music is inspired by the devil. The music itself is the devil's creation.
Yeah.
And and you can see for sure that that the best musicians have always said that they've made deals with the devil to get their talent. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. What else you got for me, brother?
So unfortunately, it's gonna be the last question because I have only 6 minutes left.
Okay.
Do you like when you make a bootcamp ritual to see the evolution of your students?
That is one of my favorite parts of this, of doing what I do. Like, it's cool to be able to write books and express myself and do videos. I like all the different things I do is really cool. But the real reward for me is seeing the progress of somebody who's taken something I've taught, whether it's at a book or I do a consultation with them, and I tell them something, and it helps their lives. And then, like, years later, because this is really one of the crazy things for me, is like, I'll have people come onto my live chats and they'll be like, hey, like 5 years ago, I was having this big issue. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I was depressed and I hated my life. And then I came across this and it changed my life. And I was like, fucking 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so that is like the biggest payment that I get for doing what I do, is just the fact that people are benefited from it, that actually do see progress, not just in their magic, because a lot of that can just be like masturbation. Like, it's like a lot of people are just lost in these visions and they're lost in the astral plane. I don't care about that, but actually making improvement on their lives, that they see the path they need to walk, that they're able to use magic to get all the pieces there, and that they actually do the work. Because that's really because a lot of people will just, like I said, lose themselves in the fantasy of all this, but keep connecting it to your daily life, use it to make your life better. And yeah, that's the biggest reward I can get as a teacher, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. So I have time for a very last question.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite gatekeeper, if you have one?
Azazel.
Il Azazel.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say Zazel. He's my favorite. He's like a good friend. But then I also do like Satan. I like Satan's gate quite a bit because it was the final one, and it's like, fuck everything. Nothing really matters. I'm just gonna go do my thing. Like it really is a relief. It's a relief. Satan's gate was for me. So yeah. Well, awesome, man. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, for me too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just hit me up in the future and we'll keep doing these.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.